What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Take 3 podcast. My name is Brandon, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Alex. Thursday afternoon episode, Week 15 preview, just hours away now from Thursday Night Football. The Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes hopefully left Jackson at home, go on the road into LA to face the Chargers and Justin Herbert. Huge AFC West game, right? The Chargers won the game in Arrowhead earlier in the year. So, I mean, if they can somehow complete the sweep and then have the same record as the Chiefs and hold the tiebreaker with the head-to-head dubs and obviously the division stuff, it would put them in a good spot. Should be a good game. Lines down to 3. It's moved around 3.5. Obviously, the Chiefs are looking to be without Chris Jones tonight. COVID and Travarius Ward illness is also questionable to go, so we'll see how that goes. We have some Saturday football this week. Super interesting with the holidays coming up. Some Saturday games, but the Patriots, big one. Obviously, the Patriots go on the road in New England or in Indianapolis. Take on Carson Wentz. Super do or die game. When you look at it for the Colts, 7-6 team looking to get into that wild card position, they need this game bad. And obviously, New England's looking to wrap up and secure a 1 seed and a first round bye. We've seen Bill Belichick do it before and wouldn't be surprised if he does it again. Other divisional matchups, I mean, we got a big one, Eagles, Washington, obviously not huge with the 20 COVID illnesses for Washington. You don't root for that type of stuff. It kind of blew the floodgates open spread-wise, but 2 6-7 teams going for that probably last wild card spot along with the Vikings who play on Monday night. So you look at it, super interesting when you have that. You also have the Bengals going into Denver for an elimination game per se. Any team, once they get the 7th loss, it looks highly unlikely the loser of that game can make the playoffs later in the day. If Lamar Jackson goes, I mean, we kind of kept it off our slate, but we got Aaron Rodgers and his broke toe heading into Baltimore to maybe face Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Big game. Obviously, Green Bay vying for the 1 seed in the NFC, and Baltimore is honestly just trying to stay alive. They're 8-5. It's crazy to think that they are literally fighting for their life. Late games there, you got obviously Tom Brady facing the Saints, Taysom Hill. There's that game. I mean, Tom Brady should win. The Bucs should win. We'll see how it goes. We'll get into that. And then we finish off the week with the Bears facing the Vikings, Jekyll and Hyde versus very bad. But on the cusp of this thing, a couple hours out from Chargers Chiefs. How are you doing on that Thursday afternoon?
Yeah, ready for this weekend. I got a lot of favorites this week spread-wise, which tends to make me nervous, but so far that's done well for me this year. So hopefully we get a heavy favorite type weekend and we get a clear picture on the playoffs, and then the Eagles should roll this weekend, knock on wood. So I'm pretty excited. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, facts. I went not quite a bit. I went a couple underdogs, but there's just teams that I felt the value. Obviously, Chargers 3.5. We'll get into it. I felt that was a good spot with the projection for what I think the final score will be on either side. And then, I mean, you get the Patriots, better football team on paper. I'd say Bill Belichick, obviously better head coach. Getting them as a dog on the road, it's probably a good thing. And we'll get into the entire spread picture later. But I mean, let's jump right into it. It's the rematch tonight. Kansas City going on the road, looking to get the dub back. Obviously lost at home earlier in the season to the Chargers. It was quite embarrassing times at that point in the season for the Chiefs. Now the Chiefs have kind of turned it around. Winners of 6 straight. Defensive side of the football is rolling. Offense is still kind of wonky and weird at times. Doesn't really look that great. Obviously no Chris Jones this week. He's out COVID list. And if they're going to miss Charvarius Ward in the secondary, he's questionable. They might need the offense tonight to get it going. And what a better spot to get it going than in LA under the lights against a division rival and Justin Herbert, who he likes to air out the ball too. You know, I mean, we got 2 quarterbacks that kind of like to sling the rock, have fun, and it's exciting. I'm kind of hoping they both kind of have a day. It'd be exciting to see the Chiefs maybe get back to Chiefs football against a team that's not named Las Vegas Raiders. And it's always fun to watch Justin Herbert do his thing. He's one of the brighter young QBs out of that draft class. And I mean, right, getting into it, you get the Chiefs. They're 3-point favorites, I believe, at this point on the road going into LA. How are you feeling going into this? Obviously, no Chris Jones is kind of worrisome, but other than that, I mean, do you think the Chiefs can get the offense going? Do you think they can do it against a team that's not named the Raiders, as the Chargers defense has kind of played a little bit better in the past few weeks? Obviously expected them to get ran all over in Cincy, but their run defense is actually pretty stout. So, I mean, what do we see going into this one tonight?
Yeah, this is a really good Thursday night game. Chiefs, Chargers. Chargers stole the first one. I'm leaning towards the Chiefs here because it's incredibly hard to sweep a division opponent, let alone the Chiefs, to beat them twice in 1 year. But the smart bet wise, I like Chargers as a home dog. Getting points is very, very enticing. So I understand why you'd want to go Chargers, but I went Chiefs because I simply think they're going to keep it rolling. Losing Chris Jones is a pretty big concern for me. That defense 100% looks different when he's not on the field. So that definitely concerns me because you're going against a lethal Chargers offense with loads of weapons, right? And they're at home. So I'm thinking this game is going to be closer to a classic Kansas City game where we see more points scored and Kansas City might need to rely on their offense more. But the defense has been rolling, right? We keep talking about Kansas City being a defensive minded team lately. And it's going to be really impressive, especially if they don't have Ward as well. No Ward, no Jones. And if they're still able to get some turnovers off Herbert and that Chargers offense, that's really the key to me is those two units, right? The Chiefs defense against the Chargers offense. I'm hoping that Patrick Mahomes and the boys get enough done points wise, but I think there's going to be a little bit more pressure on the Kansas City offense this time. I think it's not as simple as you only need 3 touchdowns to win this game. They're probably going to have to score 28 to 35 points to beat the Chargers at home. So I'm very curious to see if they can. This is definitely a fantasy friendly environment. I'm very excited for the player props of this game. So I'll definitely be watching this game closely and betting quite a bit on it. So I am pretty excited, but I'm leaning slightly towards the Chiefs. They've been streaking. It's really hard to beat them twice, especially as a divisional opponent in 1 year. So I'm just going to lean Kansas City that the defense still has enough there, even without Ward or Jones, and that they get a pick or two, and that they just do enough to escape LA with a win and keep it rolling.
Yeah, facts. I think they're going to need definitely a little bit more juice out of the offense without Chris Jones in the middle. Obviously, they get lucky because Austin Eckler's kind of been banged up lately. So, I mean, ideally, you'd think if there's no Chris Jones in the middle, that the Chargers could just do the classic, just pound the rock, right, running up the middle. But I don't know how much they're really going to send Eckler into the fire. He'll definitely be. Obviously, they love to use him in the pass game. He'll get his touches, but I don't think. I mean, as a team, if they're facing somebody like the Browns, who you knew had a dominant run game with Nick Chubb or somebody like that that could run you to death, they'd be in more trouble. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a lot more on Patrick Mahomes tonight. I think it's going to have to be a clean football, maybe get some stick 'em for Tyreek Hill's gloves. 5 of Mahomes' 12 interceptions have came from drops this year, and 3 of them have came off of Tyreek Hill's hands. So I mean, you can't have that stuff happen, especially in a division game against a good team on the road. So I mean, it's going to really come down to for me to whichever quarterback can have the cleaner game. And honestly, if I'm going off past years, obviously I'm going to roll Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, this year's kind of been different. We haven't really seen the typical Mahomes stuff that we're used to seeing, the clean games, the smart passes. He's done some dumb throws that we've harped on earlier in the year in previous episodes, just launching the ball up, playing backyard football. Obviously, I don't expect him to do that tonight, you would hope. So, I mean, but I think, yeah, it's going to be whichever quarterback plays the cleaner game, doesn't try to force it, will get the job done. I said, I mean, I like the Chiefs to win as well, but when I saw it creep up to 3.5 at the time when I made my pick, I said, you know what, if the Chargers can lose 27-24 and I still get a cover, it's a good day in the neighborhood. So I do like the Chiefs. Honestly, as you mentioned, it's hard to sweep a division opponent, let alone a division opponent that has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at the helm. So I do like the Chiefs. I just think it's going to be a tougher game when you're missing Chris Jones in the middle, who's been that vital when they got Melvin Ingram to slide him back. And then if you don't have Charvarius Ward, we already know what Keenan Allen and Mike Williams can do. They're the only duo in the league to both have 900 plus receiving yards this year. So I mean, they're shredding it. So I mean, it's up to Justin Herbert to get them the ball, not force passes in the red zone. In their 8 wins this year, he's had 23 touchdowns, 3 picks. When they lose, 7 touchdowns, 8 picks. So it comes down to just playing smarter football. Get the Joe Burrow out of you. Don't throw stupid passes in big situations. Play smart. So I mean, I'm excited. It feels like one Thursday night game in a while that I've been kind of pumped to watch. I think we're going to be in store for a good one.
Also, the Chiefs understand how important this game is win-wise for the 1 seed because they're right there. They're right in the race for the 1 seed. And New England has a pretty tough road matchup, which we'll get into Saturday night against Indianapolis. And that's very much a game they might lose, right? I'm not saying they're going to, but it's very much a game New England could drop, which would be big for Kansas City. So it just kind of makes it I feel like Kansas City's coming in very focused. They understand the importance of this game.
For sure. And if you're a Chiefs guy, Mahomes has averaged 326 passing yards per game on the road this year. That's most in the NFL. So get him out of Arrowhead and maybe he can throw the ball a little bit. And on the defensive side, I know they're missing Chris Jones, but the Chiefs defense, they've allowed 17 or fewer points in 6 straight games, which are all W's, which is their longest streak since 2013. So defense trending up. We'll see if they can keep it going without the big dog in the middle, though. Yeah, and I mean, we might as well jump straight into it. You already kind of let us in with how much is on the line tonight, and the Chiefs obviously know the Patriots record. We got the 9-4 Patriots. We got a rare Saturday night affair in Indianapolis. Big game for the Patriots and the Colts, to be honest. The Colts are kind of their own life. They're down final 4 games. They got to go 3-1. They got to steal either. They have 2 Saturday ones back to back. They have this one at home against the Patriots, and then they go on the road next week to the Cardinals. I mean, their route to the wild card comes down to stealing one of these 2 games. And obviously, Bill Belichick loves to beat the Colts. He kind of did it basically all the time, honestly, with the when he had Tom Brady. It would lead them into Indianapolis and just rip the hearts out of Colts fans. Obviously, different era now that we have no Tom Brady and we have no Peyton Manning. We got Carson Wentz on the other side. Yeah, I think it's going to come down to, I mean, obviously, Bill Belichick, he's a genius, right? We've always said for the past, I don't know how many weeks since the Patriots have been on this run, he takes away the best weapon. So, he's probably going to be locked in on shutting down the Jonathan Taylor in the run game and forcing the game a little bit more on Carson Wentz, which will be interesting to see. I mean, we really haven't seen many games this year where it's kind of been on Carson Wentz's shoulders. We've seen him they've played smart football and not really forced his hand too much. But I think Belichick is he's going to be dialed in on shutting down Jonathan Taylor and trying to really force Carson Wentz and see if Carson Wentz is the quarterback that the Colts thought he was. The Patriots are 6-0 on the road this year, so they're pretty damn good on the road, and they're a dog. Personally, I just thought it was too good to pass up when I was doing the spread picks. But I mean, I think it'll be a good game. It's 2 smart head coaches, right? Like Frank Reich, obviously he's no Bill Belichick, but he's a pretty damn smart coach and has really led this team through all the injuries. I mean, they've been beat up. Carson Wentz has been hurt. Quentin Nelson was hurt at one point. The defense is banged up, and to have them in position to still be able to get a wild card after everything they've been through is a pretty solid coaching from Frank Reich. What do you see going into Saturday night? It's weird saying Saturday night, but I mean, you obviously know both teams are going to kind of try to play a similar style. Both teams like to run the ball and use their running backs heavy on the ground.
Yeah, both teams, important game for both teams. Both really need a win. One for the 1 seed, one for the wild card. Both play similar. This is a really fun game to me. And I agree, Patriots on the road getting points is very enticing. Just like the Chargers at home getting points is very enticing. But I went the other way in this one as well. I like Indianapolis. I went out on a limb. I said they're going to split the Cardinals Patriots. I said it's going to be this one. They're going to win the Patriots game. And they're at home for this one. That Carson plays better at home. And yeah, Bill Belichick's going to hone in on Jonathan Taylor without a doubt. The question is, can he actually slow him down and stop him? Because Taylor has been on a different level this year. He's been on a mission. That offensive line, Quentin Nelson and the boys, they are very, very good. They love pancaking people. So, I mean, I like this Colts run game. I like Carson Wentz. He's shown that even when you put a little more pressure on him, he can get it done. He'll probably throw a pick or fumble in the process, but he can get the right result. I just like this Colts team here. Also, what I like about this is COVID hasn't drastically impacted both of these teams. So this is going to be a pretty damn good matchup, and they're both relatively healthy. I'm just leaning the Colts here because I think their defense is good enough to slow down Mac Jones, maybe put him in some questionable decisions. Mac Jones has shown that he makes really smart, calculated decisions. So it's very hard to get a turnover off Mac Jones, which is kind of weird to say because he's a rookie, but he's earned the respect so far this far into the season. So, but I have enough faith in this Colts defense. I like the linebacking core. They can slow down the run game, and then Jonathan Taylor and the boys, I think they do enough to get it done. The spread is very close as well. It's only -2. I like the Colts by a field goal here. It's kind of a It's not win or go home quite yet for Indianapolis, but they definitely could use a win here. I like the spot a lot. It does make me nervous betting against Bill Belichick because I do feel the Patriots on the road +2 is a smart bet without a doubt. But I got to ride with Carson Wentz and the Colts. I'm going out kind of on a limb. I believe they are the dark horse wildcard team no one wants to play. And this is a good opportunity Saturday night to show them.
I'd probably say that you're got to ride with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. I don't know if I'm going to ride with Carson Wentz and the Colts, as Jonathan Taylor has accounted for 35% of the Colts scrimmage yards this season. He's the only player in the league with 30+% of his team's scrimmage yards, which is kind of ridiculous. The man's he's just been unreal. But yeah, I think it's going to be a close one. And yeah, I mean, that's really the recipe, right? That's the recipe. Stress that defense out, maybe force Mac Jones into a bad pass. We haven't seen many lately. He's been pretty damn good, and it's been Josh McDaniels really setting up the offense for him to succeed, and not really him having to make any critical throws. Like, he hasn't really had to make any huge high pressure throws. So this is kind of a gut check game for him as well, right? First one where they're on the road, kind of a big, almost playoff atmosphere type game for him as a rookie quarterback. So I'm interested to see how he responds. I just don't trust Carson Wentz. You pretty much hit it spot on when you said he'll probably fumble.
He probably will
throw an interception at some point. And I think when you do that against a Bill Belichick team, that eventually costs you games. I mean, one good sign for you is Carson Wentz is 8-1-1 in his career versus rookie quarterbacks. So he seems to win when he faces rookie quarterbacks, but Mac Jones seems to be a different rookie quarterback, completing 70% of his passes this year. Obviously hasn't really had to make any like ridiculous throws, but he's been good nonetheless. And I trust Bill Belichick, his defense going on the road. But yeah, I mean, you're pretty spot on. It kind of is do or die. It's like if you're a Colts fan, you'd much rather win this game at home and be able to go on the road to Arizona and lose than lose this game and be forced to basically, you have to win in Arizona against Kyler Murray. And we know how dynamic Kyler Murray is and how good how the Cardinals are this year. So, I mean, if there's one game, yeah, I mean, if you could pick one, if you're a Colts guy, it's probably win this one and afford yourself a loss next week rather than put it all on next week.
I really want to say this is Mac Jones' second time going on the road in a hostile atmosphere and everything, but the man only threw 3 passes the first time in Buffalo. So this is really the first real test of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't count the bullshit 50-mile-an-hour win 3-pass game.
19 yards, baby, 2 for 3.
Exactly. But I mean, the man did dot, right? He kept the completion percentage. Up there. He didn't make any mistakes. He really handled the snap well. And we saw that. I mean, maybe it'd be hilarious if they came out in a dome and threw it 3 times too and ended up winning. Obviously, I doubt that's going to happen. But yeah, super interesting one. A lot's on the line for both. As you mentioned, the Patriots, they will know the result of the Chiefs game by the time they kick off Saturday. And that could determine the one seed gets dicey, right? If you end up 9-5 and the Chiefs are 10-4, you're suddenly playing catch up with the Kansas City Chiefs, who have ran the AFC the past 2 years. So it's a lot's at stake on both sides. One team's vying for the playoffs and the other's trying to get themselves a 1 seed in a bye week.
Real quick, before we get off this game, Jonathan Taylor over or under 100 yards on the ground?
I'm going under.
I'm going to go over based on volume, not efficiency.
Yeah, I'll go under on the rushing yards. Total yards, though, I think we'll go over 100 if you combine.
Fair.
I think they'll get him going. I don't think Bill Belichick's going to let his defense just get mowed down. But I mean, hey, it's a Stark. We'll see. But Barmore and them boys have been good up front. And I just think it's one way that Belichick will refuse to lose is by Jonathan Taylor just running it up the gut after he watched a division rival, the Buffalo Bills, get decimated by the man.
Yeah, and then one last point is just like it makes me think of the Bucs game as well. It was also in Indianapolis. They basically stopped the run really well on Jonathan Taylor outside of one possession or one drive where he scored on the ground and had like 55 yards. Outside of that, he was pretty much stopped short, and the game came down to a Leonard Fournette run for a touchdown at the very end. So to me, I think it's going to be very similar, and it's probably going to be like last person to have the ball.
Yeah, could be, but let's keep it rolling. I'm excited to get home and watch that Saturday night. Let's move it into a Sunday game. This one just made the cut. It felt like it was right. It's basically an elimination game, as I mentioned off the top. If either of these teams walks out with a loss, they're probably not getting into it. I mean, obviously they could still get in mathematically, but it would take near perfect play down the stretch to secure a playoff spot. We got the Bengals, who they seem to just shit the bed at home quite a bit. Last week was pretty disappointing, came out flat, down 20-6 to the Niners, obviously fought back, losing overtime to the Niners. They dropped to 7-6 now. And the Denver Broncos somehow, I mean, everybody kind of wrote them off at the beginning of the year. Nobody really took them serious, but they've carved out a decent season with Vic Fangio, that defense, and then Teddy Bridgewater in the run game. They've been able to manage games pretty well outside of that Arrowhead Stadium game against the Chiefs. They're also 7-6, looking for that wild card spot. The Broncos have allowed 17 or fewer than 17 points in each of their 7 wins this season. So, I mean, it seems like game management out of Teddy, let the defense do their thing, and forced turnovers out of Joe Burrow will be the recipe for success for them. The Bengals are also 1-7 since 2018 against teams with 7+ wins entering the game. So it doesn't really bode well if you're a Bengals guy. I just going into this, I just can't trust them. I don't know what they are anymore. Games where, like last week, I really thought it was set up. I think, what were they? They were like 2-point dogs at home. The Niners had no healthy running backs. They had Jeff Wilson, and they find a way just to come out flat and lose. I mean, when I look at this game, I just think that they lost too many. When you look at the Bengals losing Jets games and then losing games like last week, they just kind of let it slip away. They're a young team. I think they have room to grow. Zach Taylor's shown improvements as a head coach this year. I mean, if you're a Bengals fan, got to be excited about that. Joe Burrow, it comes down to cleaning it up and playing a full 60 minutes. And I think Denver at home, the Bengals going on the road, I just think it's set up that they're gonna get beat. I don't really have much faith in the Bengals going into Mile High Stadium. I mean, what do you see here? I just think the Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon duo will be able to eat, and then Teddy Bridgewater's been pretty good, and I think that him at home will be a good setup for the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said. There's a reason the Broncos are favorites at home. It's just this Jekyll and Hyde Bengals team, right? I feel like every time they do really well, and then I put expectations on them, they're complete dog shit the following week. And then we write them off and we're like, we're done with this team. And they come out and look good again. And I'm hoping the pattern continues and we're at the point where we write them off and they come out and look good again. Because I'm buying the Bengals here to bounce back as dogs on the road. I like the spot. They have a pretty good run defense, which is the focus of Denver's offense. And then to me, this obviously comes down to Denver's very good defense against Joe Burrow, and can Joe Burrow just not make a ton of mistakes? We all know Joe Burrow has the talent. The Bengals have the weapons, obviously. He just needs to play clean football, and it's a difficult task in Denver against those corners and that pass rush, because Denver has been very good this year. But I think Cincinnati is going to bounce back based off the fact that they understand that they need this game. Their schedule is incredibly tough down the stretch. They are right here for the division for the first time since, I don't know, maybe Andy Dalton, AJ Green were in the playoffs. So like 2012, 14-ish. So it's been a while for Cincinnati. And this is a really fun, this might be the first time since then that they have games in December that actually matter. And I just feel like the Bengals aren't going to drop one again, because they had no business dropping that one last week. They came out flat, and I'm hoping for the first time this year, even though the history of this team has proven the other way this year, they have come out flat every time there's expectations. I'm hoping backs against the wall, Cincinnati dogs on the road. They know they need to execute, and they come out and play clean football. Because to me, it's nothing about like they need to get weird or fancy or anything. They need to just take care of the ball offensively and then shut down that run game of Denver's, and they can leave Denver with a W. So to me, it's really relying on Zach Taylor having his football team all buttoned up, ready to play, which is a tall task based on the history of this season. But I'm putting my faith in Joe Burrow and the boys that he can go out there and play some clean football, get the ball into T. Higgins, Jamar Chase's hands, hand it to Joe Mixon 20-ish times, and they can definitely leave with the victory, because Cincinnati has all the tools to do it, right? And they have all the tools to slow down Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams and cause a little havoc for Teddy. It just, to me, it comes down to, are they going to actually execute and play clean football? And I'm going out on a limb here. I'm just getting risky, and I'm saying they can based on the stakes and the importance of this game. And I don't think they'll drop multiple games in a row. So I'm just going out on a limb here with Cincinnati.
Yeah, very important for both teams. I didn't realize the Broncos are 0-5 since 2020 versus the team entering the game with 7+ wins. So neither team likes to beat good football teams, or at least teams that have 7+ wins. It just doesn't seem to happen often with these squads. The Broncos are also 0-3 versus the AFC North this season. They haven't really fared well. Yeah, I just kind of when I looked at it, I was like, I trust that the Broncos, they know their identity. They know to run the ball. They know
Yeah.
not to really force too much onto Teddy. And then when I look at the Bengals, they're kind of they don't really have an identity. One time they're run heavy. They would like to be run heavy with Joe Mixon, but then they come out flat, and then they got to sling the ball around, and they try to get fancy, and then all of a sudden they're down 20-6 playing catch up. And I just don't know. I trust. It's weird for me. I just trust Teddy Bridgewater to play within the confines of the offense and not turn the ball over at home over Joe Burrow, who's kind of showed us time and time again, even if it's not his fault, that the Bengals, they will somehow, whether it's a fumble or whether it's something crazy, that they'll turn the rock over. And you do that in Mile High against a good defense like the Broncos, it'll be a long day. I kind of expect low scoring though. We know what the Broncos are going to bring to the table, and then the Bengals going up against that defense of the Broncos. I don't know if they're going to really have many long shots and really destroy them through the air. So I think it's going to come down to just methodical. Once again, I mean, it seems like every game in the NFL comes down to what quarterback doesn't turn the ball over, but that's really what it's going to be. It's going to be possession and what defense shows up when you really need them to.
Yeah, that's what's funny about this game, right? We know both teams are capable in different ways. Both teams are good in different ways, but like it's hard to trust either of these teams. So like it sounds kind of asinine just repeating it comes down to who makes less mistakes and who plays clean football, right? But like when you're dealing with two teams that are like good some days and bad other days, it's really as simple as like which team's going to actually show up.
Yep. So Teddy Two Gloves do the job at home, but it'll be interesting if the Bengals do win 8-6, and then we see the Baltimore Ravens lose and they're 8-6. Shit gets dicey in that AFC North, because suddenly Cleveland is we didn't really cover it, but they're kind of looking out of it as with all the COVID issues over there, that it's weird. It's down to maybe the Bengals versus the Ravens for the division, but we'll see how it all go for it.
I believe the Bengals have the tiebreaker as well.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, as of now, I believe they have one more. They have one more head-to-head matchup.
Yeah.
I believe it's next week, if I'm not mistaken. But I know they have one more head-to-head. So yeah, I mean, as of right now, yeah, the Bengals dominated the Ravens head-to-head in that one matchup. Lamar's beat up. So hey, if it comes down to that, we'll see what it looks like. But a huge game. The Bengals have to go on the road. Maybe not in the spot. If you win a Jets game and you win last week, maybe you're not forced to this is a must-win game on the road in Denver, but they're a young team, and that's what you see with young football teams.
Yeah, they're probably sick about the Jets game in the same way Minnesota is sick about the Lions games. That's why you need a coach that gets your team ready to play every Sunday, even against the shitty opponents. You got to respect them. You got to come out ready to play, because otherwise it's going to bite you in the ass at the end of the year.
Yep. So we'll see what it comes down to Jekyll and Hyde. One more Jekyll and Hyde, the Bengals, than the Broncos. But hey, let's keep it moving. We got Sunday night football. I don't even really know what to even dive in here, to be honest. I mean, we know in the past, like, the Saints have given Tom Brady some issues. They've kind of annoyed him. I believe he's 0-3 in the regular season against the Saints. They did lose in New Orleans this year. That was it's kind of what the Bucs have been. They've looked like shit on the road, but they've looked pretty damn good at home. The Saints, they've won 3 straight regular seasons against Tom Brady. He's never lost 4 straight regular season games to a single opponent. So he's probably looking to just end that streak this Sunday night, and he has a good shot to do it. They're 11-point favorites. I mean, they've looked good at home, and they're facing Taysom Hill. I don't know how much faith I have in him. Brady's 6-0 with 22 touchdowns, 3 picks at home. So everything says to me, it's really, when it comes down to it's what defense for the Bucs will show up. Can they get some stops and kind of force Taysom Hill to throw some interceptions? And will this game get out of hand, or will Taysom Hill kind of annoy that defense and keep the Saints around. As I said, it's an 11-point spread. I mean, I don't think ideally, I would assume we both expect the Bucs to win. It's kind of, you got to be crazy to say Taysom Hill is going to go into Tampa Bay and beat the Bucs. But I mean, will they be able to keep it scrappy enough and wild enough that maybe they cover? I thought about taking the Saints, to be honest. 11 points, division game, felt kind of weird, but I was like, it's Tom Brady at home. This Bucs teams look so good at home that I'm going to trust that they get the job done. But what do we see here? I mean, there's not really much. Maybe if Jameis Winston was playing, there'd be a little bit more on the line. Whether the Saints, I mean, they're technically still in it for the wild card at 6 and 7, kind of for that last spot. But I mean, let's be honest, we both expect the Bucs to take care of business tonight, right? Sunday night.
If famous Jameis was playing, it'd probably be Saints minus 11 instead. But no, I totally expect the Bucs to win this football game. To me, the question comes down to, can the Saints cover, right? Just because 11 points is a lot. I took the Saints simply because sometimes there's just weird matchups. And since Tom Brady's been in Tampa Bay, he doesn't know how to really play against the Saints in the regular season. I fully expect him to break that streak and win this game 100%. But I think the Saints just stay scrappy enough to be within 10 points, right? Just because 11's a lot. The Saints defense plays the Bucs really well. They have a good pass rush. Marshawn Lattimore just somehow knows the recipe to get all over Mike Evans, which really hurts the Bucs offensively. But my real issue with the Saints covering, which makes me nervous, is their offense, obviously, because this is a running offense, and this is against a running defense. A defense that stops the run very well, the Bucs. So that makes me very nervous. You have Alvin Kamara back. They're still missing a couple of their starters on the offensive line. I know Taysom Hill's hand is a little messed up, so I don't know how accurate he's going to deliver the football. He's not exactly great at it anyway. So to me, the big question marks are the Saints offense against the Bucs defense. Can they get enough going on the ground to keep it scrappy and within 10 points? I'm going out on a limb in saying that they will, simply because the Saints defense plays the Bucs really well, and Sean Payton just knows how to game plan against the Bucs. So I'm just kind of leaning Saints to cover. I don't think there's any real chance that they win. To me, it's just lose by 10 points instead of 21.
Yeah, I would. I'd say you'd be happy if they lost by 10. I mean, I guess if there's one good thing, the Saints, they do have Kamara back. Their offenses looked way better, light years better when Alvin Kamara is in the lineup. Obviously, that helps Taysom Hill out quite a bit. But I mean, there's just no way that I can kind of drum it up. I mean, I could definitely see, right, division games are division games, and Dennis Allen does seem to have Tom Brady's number. Regardless of where they play, obviously winning the last 3 regular season matchups. So I could see him keeping it close, but I'm just rolling with the GOAT. There's no real way for me to kind of spin it. Obviously, I don't think the game is necessarily going to be that competitive, but it's really, what it comes down to is, can the Saints cover at this point? And they very well could. Division games are weird, but I'm rolling Tom Brady. And that's really all I have. It'll be interesting to see what style of football, because obviously you mentioned the mallet finger injury with Taysom Hill. He doesn't really spin the rock good anyway.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what type of offense they kind of run out there, and if that defense can force turnovers out of Tom Brady, as they've been few and far between at home this year compared to on the road. So we'll see how it goes.
If I was advising someone to make a smarter bet on this Sunday night game, I would just tell them to take Bucs. If you want value and to have a little bit of fun, the Saints can definitely cover. It's certainly possible, but it's more likely that the Bucs will just kind of roll them.
Yeah, for sure. It's like Tom Brady. He probably wants this one. He's probably tired of losing. He's probably tired of hearing the 3 straight loss things to the Saints and all the Sean Payton bullshit. He probably just wants to put that one, nip that one in the butt and get them a W, move them to 11-3 and closer to the 1 seed in the NFC, because this is probably really their last challenging game, I would say, because they finish up Jets, Carolina, or it's like Carolina, Jets, Carolina. So they probably have a cakewalk after that. It's weird to say that the Saints, Sean Payton, and Dennis Allen are probably the last real regular season test for the Bucs this year.
That, and if the Bucs somehow mess around and drop this game, you can virtually kiss the 1 seed goodbye.
Yeah, if they mess around and drop this game, just, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't even know what to say, to be honest. So let's go Bucs by 21. And let's keep it rolling. Yeah, let's jump into final game on the slate that we are going to talk about. Unfortunately, talk about. I mean, it's a big one for the Vikings. They're sitting 6-7, obviously coming off their thrilling, almost choked away game against the Steelers, where they go up big and then they let the Steelers somehow get right back into it, and it comes down to a last play of the game type scenario. Not what you like to see. It seems like typical Vikings there, right there. Another Jekyll and Hyde team in the NFL where they can look real good at some points, and then even mid-game they'll look real good and then just shit the bed and let a team. Hey, they lost to the Lions. That says they are the Lions' lone victory. So that says all you need to know about Mike Zimmer, Kirk Cousins, and the Minnesota Vikings. And then they go on the road to face Matt Nagy's dysfunctional Bears. They got ran all over against the Packers. Not a good sign there. Aaron Rodgers kind of had his way as well. Yeah, it just looks out to be a long day for the Bears and Justin Fields. Kind of unfortunate, and it's kind of gonna sum up what the Matt Nagy era was. A lot of long days, and this entire season's probably been a long season. Obviously, a bunch of COVID guys hit the list today for the Bears, kind of stretched the spread out. I believe another point it was 4.5 at one point. It's up to even 5.5. I think it'll climb a little bit more. I just don't see. I mean, Soldier Field, I mean, it could be a tough place to play. The Vikings are kind of one of those suspect teams, but I think long week for the Vikings to get to focus in on this game. They know what's at stake. The Bears are just a bad football team all around. They don't know Khalil Mack. The defense really isn't there. The offense, obviously, we've seen what that is, even with Justin Fields back there. I expect the Vikings to come out focused and realize it's time to take care of business, get to 7-7, and kind of put themselves in a good spot to get that final wild card spot. I expect heavy Dalvin Cook and some play action, Justin Jefferson action out of the Vikings. Anyway, we can really spin this up for the Bears. I got nothing. I mean, it's another game under the belt for Justin Fields where he'll get to see some more game action leading into next season. But I mean, when you look at the Bears, I mean, they've allowed 100+ passer rating to a QB in 7 of their last 8 games, and the only QB they didn't allow it to was Tyler Huntley. So that defense is bad. It's kind of sad. I guess the Vikings are 2-5 on the road. That's your one bright spot if you're going to try and spin it for the Bears. That's all I got.
If I'm trying to spin it for the Bears, I guess it's a divisional game. Anything can happen. Monday night, you're at home. The silver linings to me is Justin Fields gets more experience. He'll show flashes of what he can be, which is always exciting. But you basically hit the nail on the head. It's all Vikings here. I don't really know how you can have faith in the Bears at home. Once again, divisional game, anything could happen, but everything's pointing towards Minnesota, right? They even played last Thursday. They're on extra rest while Chicago played Sunday night against Green Bay. It's just, I don't really know. The spread, I took Minnesota 5.5. I would like them up to 6.5 to 7. I see them winning by a full touchdown. It's just the Vikings have a lot more weapons. Neither defense is great. The Vikings just have more weapons to attack. I don't trust the Bears in any capacity at all. They scored 30 points and still managed not to cover 12.5 last week. So I don't know. What do you really do with the Bears, right? The Vikings got 10 days rest. It's all Vikings for me.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to I didn't even realize the Vikings lead the league in sacks. I believe they have 41 sacks. And then when you look at the Bears O-line, they're second to last in the league. They've allowed 42 sacks this year. So really, really, really bad O-line. And I guess a somewhat good pass rush minus Danielle Hunter, which is weird when you think Danielle Hunter is done for the year. There goes the pass rush. They're still finding ways to get after the quarterback. Yeah, I mean, it's just what Vikings team is going to show up, and will they play 4 quarters of football? Their secondary is not very good, but I expect their pass rush to be able to get after Justin Fields early and often Monday night. And I mean, yeah, I didn't realize Kirk Cousins is also 1-9 on Monday Night Football. So he could very well piss this one away. It wouldn't surprise me if they somehow lost. Like, it's just, that's what the Mike Zimmer era with the Vikings outside of 2017 has really been. So, I mean, that's
yeah. Those are a lot of those Jay Gruden Washington Monday night losses. Because I remember when he was in Washington, they harped on that record for a long time.
Facts. But I mean, yeah, Bears just, get excited. I mean, you're one game closer to Matt Nagy getting fired. which was a formality at this point, and Justin Fields gets another week of reps. Hopefully doesn't take too many hits behind that O-line. Any other kind of games on the fray that you wanted to talk about? It's hard to really talk about the Packers game. As I mentioned at the top, if Lamar doesn't play, it's kind of a moot point. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, bad toe. They did just put Kenny Clark, D tackle, on the COVID list. So, I mean, we're seeing a multitude of guys get tossed on the COVID list. It's just, yeah, it's kind of an outbreak, whether it's NBA, NFL, we're kind of seeing loads of guys, and it could affect games down the stretch, right? Down the final 3 weeks. And obviously this week. But any other games that interest you on this slate?
Yeah, speaking of COVID, it ravaged Washington, which really opens up for the Eagles home game. So hopefully the Eagles look good. Titans Steelers is like very close spread wise. The Steelers, I believe, are +2 dogs at home. That one's very interesting. I went with the classic anti-Steelers and rolled with the Titans, but I think that's the other game that's really interesting. And then the last one, it's not actually interesting. The spread is interesting. Panthers Bills. Bills haven't looked great. 11 points is a lot. I still rolled with the Bills, but I don't know. The spread's interesting there. And then I think Titans Steelers is kind of interesting.
Yeah, Titans there's like 1 point. It's literally it's a pick 'em. Obviously, we know what Tennessee's rolling in there with the skeleton crew. And then yeah, the Steelers are just they're looking to hang around. So I mean, I don't think it'll be the greatest game. I expect it super, super low scoring. Slop fest. Probably won't be on my TV if I'm being honest. But yeah, that's and then obviously, yeah, Washington, it sucks. Even though I'm a big Eagles fan, I would have liked to beat them at full strength just so I wouldn't have to hear their fan base run their mouths. I mean, they still do have a full offense technically. Like I see Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel Gibson, Heineke's still out there. So they got those guys. They did get ravaged just about everywhere else though. But I mean, hey, we need a W. Let's get to 7-7, keep it moving. And then, yeah, Buffalo and Carolina. I mean, Buffalo doesn't look good, but they got the perfect team coming to town to look good. So, I mean, I think Buffalo gets it back together. Carolina's just a mess. I think they're doing the 2 quarterback scheme. So probably just roll with PJ Walker, to be honest. Cam, it was fun for the short amount of time, but he's just been horrendous. Somebody told me it was Joe Brady's fault. He got fired, but I'm suddenly seeing that it wasn't Joe Brady's fault. He was just the scapegoat. And yeah, I mean, Matt Rule's gonna have a lot of pressure on him going into next year. They're gonna have to find a quarterback because their owner really doesn't play games, and it's not going to take too many more losing seasons up there under Matt Rule.
Yeah, Tepper means business. He wants to be a contender as fast as possible. And the thing for Matt Rule is he's shown when he gets decent quarterback play that his coaching is good. So I don't know, tough position for him.
Yeah, they will probably be going all out for a quarterback in the off season.
Deshaun.
Yeah, it would make sense. Another one that's just it's not really an interesting game, but San Fran 9.5, kind of a lot of points. I don't know what running backs are showing up for the 49ers. Falcons, oddly 6-7. They're still in the final wildcard spot race in that NFC. That's how funny the race for that final wildcard spot is. I mean, 9.5. I rolled Niners, didn't really think about it. They're at home, more physical team. Nick Bosa should have a day, but could be interesting to watch if somehow it doesn't get out of hand.
But, yeah, I thought that one was kind of interesting too. I thought Atlanta for a little bit because 9.5 is a lot, but the Niners are getting healthy. I think they have enough to get it done.
Yeah, no, I was done with the Falcons. When I made the famous comment, at least the Falcons can score points, I was off of the that was the last time.
They followed that up with 3 points in 2 weeks after that.
Exactly. So, I mean, no better time to let's just straight up jump into the spread picks. Obviously, you'll see the 2 blank spots. We pulled the Browns Raiders game. It's an ongoing situation with the Browns and the COVID. Just didn't feel like a fair pick for our records. I also forgot the records as well, but John's 102, 92-1, and me and Alex are 96, 98-1. So got it off the top. Any picks you love this week? Obviously, I really like the Chargers getting up to 3.5. I think the Chiefs win by 3, and to get that half point was just like a huge W.
Yeah, the half point is very good. I don't know if there's ones I really love. I felt like it went on kind of like the Bills make me nervous. Even Miami against the Jets make me nervous because there's a lot of points. I'm hoping the Bengals bounce back. The Saints. I don't feel fantastic about any of them. A lot of them make me nervous. If you made me just straight up pick one, I guess I'd go Packers 5.5 because Lamar might not play. The Packers might be the best team in football, and the Ravens are struggling. So I guess I would go with that one.
Facts, yeah. Outside of that, yeah. Outside of that Chargers pick, I'd probably say I love the Broncos 2.5 at home in an elimination game. I just they have the perfect team coming to town against that defense. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got. I need another good week though. I need to chase John. He went a lot of underdogs. Went with Washington. Went with the Bengals. Went with the Falcons. I went with the Jets. He's kind of trying. I mean, Zach Wilson's virtually unplayable. I know it's 9.5. The Dolphins defense has been pretty damn good, and two has been pretty damn good. Jalen Waddle COVID list as well. I hate like every dude's COVID list. But I think the defense has enough, and Zach Wilson's just unplayable. But interesting stuff. I mean, there's ground to make up. We have 4 weeks to do it. So why not now?
I see one favorite y'all took, the Urban Meyerless Jacksonville Jaguars against Houston. This might be their last chance to win a damn football game. And shout out to Urban being fired. Fuck that dude.
Yeah, Urban's a bum. I think, I think they're going to come out and stick it to him. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans won. But yeah, you're right. It's like the last game that they're going to be favored in this year. So yeah, I think they'll come out and stick it to Urban, get a win as that man sits somewhere locked away in Columbus, Ohio, or wherever he's from. But yeah, dude was a bum. Disgrace to coaching. And yeah, that's really all I got on Urban. Smell you later, my guy. But yeah, any kind of closing thoughts? Where we're going to wrap this up?
No, I think that's it. Really excited to look at the NFC playoff picture after this weekend because I'm hoping my team is in a good position.
Facts. I'm hyped to watch this evening's game. Should be a good one. But I mean, that's going to wrap it up for week 15's preview. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. As always, Spotify link will be posted in the description. If you're an audio only person, go ahead and give us a follow over there, as these videos upload simultaneously on YouTube and Spotify. And yeah, thanks for listening. We'll see y'all next Tuesday on the for the week 15 recap.